Hi everyone, my name is Fab and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about two graphic novels that have been written or adapted by Steve Niles. He's best known for his comic 30 Days of Night, from which movie adaptation has been made. And the graphic novels that I want to talk about are first this one, The Possessed. This is a graphic novel in two parts that came out last August and September. This is the first one and this is the second one. And this graphic novel talks about a Jewish family. Is set in Budapest in the Second World War. We see this family while they're being deported to the concentration camps by the Nazis. And while they're reaching the train that will lead them there, the Nazis kill the parents of this family in front of their daughter and the grandpa. So these two members of the family decide to take advantage of the situation to run away from the Nazis and hide somewhere and find a shelter into a rabbi house. And while they're there, the rabbi asks them what they want to do about the situation with the Nazis. And what the grandpa says is that he doesn't want revenge, he wants justice. So the rabbi brings out the book box and tell them that this box contains a demon and ask them who wants to open this box, because the one that will open it will be the one that will be possessed by the demon. So the grandpa decided to sacrifice himself and decided to open the box. And as soon as he opens it, the demon is unleashed and is possessed by the demon. That's why the title is The Possessed. After he's possessed, the grandpa comes back to consciousness and the rabbi tells him that the demon will be released again after the body dies. So soon enough, the Nazis find them into the rabbi house and they bring them back to the train that will lead them to the concentration camps, and you can pretty much imagine what will happen next. So, what do you think about this story? The premises of this story are interesting, but it's missing something. It's too quick. Even if it's in two parts, the story is very short, and there is not much depth into it. Like, there is not depth into the historical part of the story. There is an important one, given we are talking about the Holocaust. But I think the author didn't make proper research into the historical aspect of the story. I don't know if it was because of lack of research itself or because it was like emotionally distant from the topic itself, because maybe didn't have any family member that suffered the Holocaust, or because he thought that setting this story into a horror graphic novel would have diminished the importance of the story itself. So maybe fear that it would have given a different value or a different importance to the story. I don't know that. That's the author choice, but there is something lacking that is, in my opinion, very important, and it's like a background to this story. Not just the historical background, but also the background for the characters, because these two main characters, the grandpa and the niece that is called Elsa, are thrown into this story, but there is not given too much depth into their story. They just escaping from the Nazis and going to the rabbis very quick. Everything happens very quickly, but there is no depth into their story. We don't know anything about them, and we will know anything about them for the whole story, because they're just not very much underlined, if you know what I mean. We just have some small features of them, but we don't know anything about them. So this is what is lacking more. We don't know how this family was brought to the train that will lead them to the concentration camps. We don't know the dynamics in this family, because at the beginning the father of this family seems a bit rough. I don't know. It looks like this story is incomplete in a way. The concept was interesting because the book box is something from folklore that has always intrigued me, and it could have been exploited better for this story, but in my opinion the author didn't do a good job in that sense. It's an interesting story, but there is a lot missing in this one. But apart from that, the story is nice and the drawings are amazing. The artwork of the covers as well is beautiful. I will show you again. And the drawing are amazing. Like, I'll show you some details. Like, It's very nice, but there is this thing that is lacking of background, and that's, I think, an important part of a story. If we don't know much about the character, we can't really feel for them or enter into the situation that they're living, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. I think there is something missing, and that's what I can tell you about this one. The other one that I want to talk to you about is this one. This is The Yattering and Jack. This was originally written by Clive Barker and is just adapted by Steve Niles. This was a story contained in the Books of Blood by Clive Barker. And this is a vintage edition, it's a hardback edition, and this one contains just the story, The Yattering and Jack. There is also a paperback edition of this one where there is another story, I don't know which one, but this one contains just this one. This is a very nice graphic novel, a very interesting one. This talks about the Yattering, that is this demon that is sent to Earth by Beelzebub to taunt, haunt, and drive insane a man called Jack Polo. And why is that so, you may ask? Because when Jack Polo was born, his mother was devoted to the devil, and she promised her own soul to the devil and also the soul of Jack Polo. But at the last minute she repented and she went to a priest, so eventually her soul went to heaven. Good old Catholicism. And that's why Beelzebub is so mad, because he wanted to claim the soul of this woman and also of Jack Polo. So that's why he sent this minion to drive Jack Polo insane, lead him to commit suicide, and eventually claim his soul back. But what the Yattering doesn't know is that Jack Polo is a very dull man. He doesn't care about anything. He's not scared about stuff. Like, his wife was cheating on him and he just didn't care. After they split up, his wife also committed suicide. Actually, well, she was watching Hellraiser, and I'll show you just a detail of that one here, as you can see. So for the Yattering will be a hard job to drive this man insane. The fact is that Polo takes everything in a very chill out way, so he doesn't care much about anything in his life. The Yattering has this task to accomplish, but he has some rules to respect, because he can only haunt and drive insane this man just in his house. He can never leave Jack Polo's house, and also he can't physically touch Polo or harm him, because that will break the rules. So he has to use other techniques, other methods to do so. And one of these is to torture and kill his animals. So there is a trigger warning that I have to give you about animal violence in this book. But apart from that, it's a very enjoyable story. It's a black comedy and it's very nice and funny to read, because the dynamics between the Yattering and Jack are comical in a way for what happens. So it's a very nice story. This one is set in Christmas, and Christmas doesn't have a big impact on the story itself. It's just a way in which Polo's daughters will come to visit him and stay in this house just for the Christmas time. And would be another occasion for the Yattering to test Jack Polo and try to drive him even more insane. But that's not a big aspect of the story itself. When I was reading, something that I felt was missing, but not that much, is just that they talk about the fact that the Yattering, to drive this man insane, did a training, but we don't know much about this training, and this task that he has to do with Jack Polo is like the final exam that he has to do. So it's a funny concept if you think about it, but they don't talk that much about the training that he had to do to drive Jack Paul insane. And I would have liked to know more about that, but even if he's missing that part, the story itself is amazing anyway. And the drawings and the artwork is amazing. Apart from the cover itself, that is part of the graphic novel. It's so detailed. Like, look at him. The artwork is beautiful. And sometimes they look like pictures. Like this. These look like photographs, almost. They're amazing, they're beautiful. The artwork of the Yattering itself is nice. I really liked how they depicted this character. It's cute in my opinion, I don't know why, but So this is all I can tell you about these two graphic novels, written and adapted by Steve Niles. This one is better in my opinion. This is very, very good. This could have been better. I don't know if this is like a start for a longer story, or is just this story in itself. Most of the part of this book at the end presents like the screenplay, the original screenplay, and some artwork, some sketches. Also in this one, we see some other artworks, the screenplay, and some sketches of the story. But it's missing something. So this is all I can tell you about these two graphic novels. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There are more reviews coming, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.